Feeling lost in your UPSC preparation? Too many books, countless strategies, and no clear direction? It's time to leave the confusion behind. Welcome to Vision IAS Jaipur's GS Foundation Course 2026, starting from 20th January at 7:30 a.m. and 5 p.m. With Delhi's expert faculty now in Jaipur, personalized mentorship and structured guidance, you'll have everything you need to master the UPSC Civil Services examination. From comprehensive syllabus coverage to advanced test series with performance analysis, we ensure your preparation stays on track. Prepare smarter, not harder, with proven strategies, consistent motivation, and complete support from Vision IAS Jaipur. Join the GS Foundation Course 2026 today. Batch starts 20th January, 7:30 a.m. and 5 p.m.
we come to our discussion on how Indian subcontinent contains nearly all salient physical features and major geophysical phenomenon of the world. Okay, so this is more of a physical geography topic, but it would have some human aspects in terms of the word subcontinent. But first we need to understand that what is meant by these three words that come across here. First is the subcontinent, second is physical features, and third geophysical phenomena. And obviously they are asking about major, salient, and Indian, right? So they are the adjective to the whole thing. So Indian subcontinent, salient physical features, and major geophysical phenomena. What do these words mean? First we understand that, then we go on to understand further into how we are saying India is a subcontinent. So when we say continents, I hope in physical geography some of the very basics of your physical geography help us understand that we have the Earth's surface divided into continents and oceans, right, or the water bodies. Now when we say continents, we see here two words. One is the continent, another one, the word that we saw was subcontinent. So how will you differentiate between a continent and a subcontinent? Continents are the 7 major formations that we have on the earth and which are separated from each other by water bodies, large water bodies like the oceans. Okay, so the continents are technically separated from each other by oceans. This is how we can say separated by oceans. And second, first of all, I should say above that is large land mass. They are the large land masses which are created in terms of the surface of the earth, what you call as the crust or the lithosphere. So in that, the top of the lithosphere is made up of the crust, and the crust is of two types, continental and oceanic. So when we say crust, we use the word continental. We never use the word subcontinental crust. There is nothing like subcontinental crust. It is continental crust. Okay. Whereas when we say subcontinent, the word subcontinent simply means a part of land which might be separated from the other part of the continent by maybe a water body, it might be separated by a mountain, right? So it is smaller part of continent, smaller part of continent, and separated from others, separated from others by maybe mountain ranges, by physical features like mountains, maybe you can have some big lakes, etc., something like this, right? So this is what we mean by, and a subcontinent is not a geological formation in itself, it's part of a larger geological formation which is continent. Okay, so subcontinents are always part of continent. Then why do we differentiate? Why do we say this is different? The difference between or why we call a region as a subcontinent is because in the formation sequence, what we find is that first of all, maybe its formation was slightly different from the remaining continent. For example, when we say Eurasian continent or Asian continent, India was technically not part of the Asian region, which we see even in the continental drift theory. Okay, so first you had the Laurasia going up, then the Gondwana land. India separated from Gondwana land, went to the Laurentian region and became part of the Laurentian region. And that's where it created new structures, new physical features. Those were non-existing earlier, such as the Himalayas and the northern plains. So Himalayas and northern plains were non-existent till the whole thing was part of Pangaea or something. Okay, but new parts were created. So subcontinent, geologically distinct. It will have some geological distinction, right? So the story will not exactly be the same as the remaining continent. Okay, for example, Indian, you can say peninsular India existed earlier and later it led to formation of Himalayas and the plains, which together now we call as the Indian subcontinent. Okay? So when we say the Indian subcontinent, which region are we referring to in the world map? Okay, because now we'll directly try to come to the Indian. Yes, tell me. Louder. Why don't we call Europe as a subcontinent? Because Europe was a continent itself which joined with Asia and formed Eurasia. Okay, so Europe was a continent in itself which is joined at Himalayas. It's a much bigger formation. It was already existing as a big formation earlier. Okay, do we get? So it was not like India. India is a small formation. It's relatively a smaller formation. Is that okay? And the peninsular India was not perfectly complete in itself until unless it formed its two new units. Which are the two new units? Himalayas and plains. They were non-existent earlier. When you join them, then you get Indian subcontinent. Peninsular India was not a subcontinent in itself. Is this okay? Right? So, now, when you talk of the Indian subcontinent, which region do we refer to? Quickly, let us see. Okay, so I hope everyone broadly knows that the region called as the Indian subcontinent includes your, the region somewhat like this. Okay, so somewhat like this we go, and let me keep it aside. Okay, and we go around this. So all of this, Suleiman and all, this whole thing we call as the Indian subcontinent, which presently includes whole of India. It includes our neighboring countries like Pakistan. It also includes Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is also included. Okay, and Bangladesh and Myanmar. All these regions together. This whole thing we call as Indian subcontinent. Why? Because all these Peguyoma, Arakanyoma, they were also formed when this whole thing came up. So this region, Peguyoma, Arakanyoma, Himalayas, near this Hindu Kush, the what you call as the Karakoram range, Suleiman Kirthar, all of this was formed. So even Suleiman Kirthar will be included. Okay, so something like this. This whole region is your peninsula. Now, why do we say Indian subcontinent has? So I hope you understand. And generally, a subcontinent will have a bit of, not complete, bit of isolation and distinction with respect to its surrounding. Okay. So what is the isolation and distinction India has? On one side, it has ocean, so it does not interact much with the southern parts. On one side, it has the Mount Himalayas. So Himalayas also separate our culture from the culture that you find eastwards of Himalayas. Okay, though in Tibet you do find a bit of, what you call as Buddhism and all, but the cultural context is different from what you find in this region. So the culture of the subcontinent would be somewhat in itself would have developed. This is the human geography part. But we don't have to focus right now too much on the human geography. We have to talk of physical geography of India. So it is said that India, the statement that we have, India has all the major physical features, almost all, not all, almost all the major physical features and phenomena that you find. Which means anything that you get to see in the world, almost everywhere, you get to see it in India also. So if you want to see the physical things in India and every phenomena, you don't have to go anywhere. You just have to go around in India, different parts of the year, different times, and you will get to see most of it. Okay, what does that mean? And how does India have this? So for this understanding that how India has all these features, first of all, we need to understand those two words, right? The two words that we saw, say, what you call as physical features and geophysical phenomena. So where have these two words come? What do they mean? Geophysical features and physical features and geophysical phenomena. क्या मतलब है इसका? Where do they come? They are there in your syllabus. They are given in your main syllabus exactly like this, right? So the main syllabus says physical features and geophysical phenomena. Can you tell me which are the major physical features on the earth? Take the first word. Physical features. When we say physical features, you have heard this word in a different way. It is called as the landforms or relief features. Relief features. So which are the major landforms that you find? Landforms can be divided into first order, second order, and third order landforms. Which are the first order landforms? Continents and ocean floor. Now, second order landforms are features in the continent and in the ocean floor. Which are they? Mountains, plateaus, plains. And in the ocean, which are the features? Mid-oceanic ridges, trenches, ridges, guyots, etc. And third order landform are within the mountain, within the plateau, within the plain. Such as, which are the ones within the mountain? Such as, you can say waterfalls, right? Waterfalls, cataract, rapid. Then in the plateau, what do you find? You find canyons, gorges. In the plain, what do you find? You have, and I'm using words from your basic book, peneplain. There you have words like monadnock, Inselberg, and all these words are given in your basic book. Okay, so these are the third order features that you find. So if we group them, what do I get? I get this as the first order landforms, this as the second order landforms, and these as the third order landforms, and so on and so forth. Okay, these together we call as the physical features. Okay, so these are basically the physical features. And how are they created? These physical features are created due to endogenic and exogenic processes. Once you understand what is happening, what all is needed, then you will see, oh, is this all happening in India? If all of this is happening, then India has everything. Okay, so this is how we try to understand this, and similarly this set. Okay, so this is what we mean by physical features. Now, in these physical features, there are different phenomena also taking place, right? What are the geophysical phenomena? Geophysical phenomenon. And one more thing that I will add, because in this we have added in physical features, one thing we have added is landforms. This is with respect to geomorphology. Geomorphology. Now, in physical features, we can also add climatology and oceanography. Now, in climatology, what all will be included in the physical features? This will include your atmosphere and the different regions of the atmosphere. Like you have the stratosphere, so on and so forth. Okay? And in ocean, it will include the surface and the deep ocean, which we also divide into photic and aphotic zones. So those are also the regions. Okay? And in this atmosphere and in atmosphere, as I said, further divided into starting from bottom, troposphere, stratosphere, and so on. Okay, these are the features. Now, once you know the features, then you come to, as I said, geophysical phenomena. So, you will find geophysical phenomena taking place in all the three. Which are the three? Geomorpho, which means land. Phenomena taking place in land. Then you will have climato, which means phenomena taking place in which feature? Which physical feature? The atmosphere. And third one, oceanography, where you have taking place in oceans. Now, so which are the phenomena taking place here? On the land, which are the phenomena that take place? Can you tell me? Major phenomena taking place on land. Endogenic and exogenic phenomena, right? So when we say endogenic, which are the endogenic phenomena that we see? We see phenomena such as the ones which are visible to us, such as volcanoes, earthquakes, yes or no? Or plate movements, right? Faulting, rifting, folding, ये सब phenomena है. Alright? So these are the phenomena in geomorpho in endogenic, right? So faulting, rifting, all these are phenomena. Then in exo, which are the phenomena? All the processes of weathering, erosion, deposition, all of them are phenomena, geophysical phenomena, including mass movement, etc. Like landslide. Landslide is a phenomena. Mud flow is a phenomena. Have you heard? And these questions UPSC is asking so frequently. Right? So this is what we call as phenomena here. Then in the atmosphere, which are the phenomena? In atmosphere, we have phenomena at three levels. Macro, meso, micro in terms of time. The macro ones in terms of time, we call them as climate phenomena. The meso ones, we call them as seasonal phenomena. And the micro, we call them as weather phenomena. So, for example, climate change, global warming. What are these? These are macro phenomena. Seasonal, can you give me some seasonal phenomena? Seasonal phenomena like monsoon, El Nino, IOD, western disturbance. ये सब क्या है? These are seasonal phenomena. And which are the weather phenomena? Cloudburst, cyclone. Cyclones you can put here also. Okay, in the bigger ones. Cyclones are not small, but so cyclones will come here. But twisters and tornadoes, where will they come? Twisters and tornadoes, they are small scale. They are not as big. So tornadoes, or twisters. They are the same. This year's mains question. Okay. Thunderstorm, hailstorm. Do we get it? So we understand what do we mean by the term physical phenomena? Geophysical phenomena. These are geophysical phenomena in the climate. And similarly, you will have oceanic geophysical phenomena. Alright. So which are the oceanic geophysical phenomena? Such as tides, currents, waves, gyres, alright, upwelling, all these are oceanic geophysical phenomena, or sea surface temperature. That will also come here. It is part of climate and this, but also have its effect here. So these are all the geophysical phenomena. We understand? So geophysical phenomena is a wide term. You need to understand पहले terms. ये सारा term समझ लो, फिर आपको समझ में आएगा ये सब कैसा इंडिया में हो रहा है. Alright? So do we understand these two parts? Physical features and geophysical phenomena. Now once we understand these two words, now we come back to what the topic says, that how Indian subcontinent contains nearly all salient features and geophysical phenomena. Right? So does India contain most of these geophysical features? First of all, पहला ये समझो. Right? So let us take the big geophysical features. First of land. So on the land, which are the big geophysical features? You have mountains, plateaus and plains. Mountain, plateau, plain. Okay, these are the three geophysical features. In this mountain, plateau, plain, does India have mountain, plateau and plain? Answer, yes or no? Yes, very good. How many types of mountains? How many types of mountains are there? Louder? Nearly all type. What are those all type? Very good. So you have fold mountain, you have block mountain, you have or bolo. Louder? I didn't get your word. DOME. Okay. Dome is a structure. It's a shape. Okay. So fold mountain, block mountain, then volcanic. I think denude is what you're saying. Okay. So volcanic mountains. Right? And there's another one. Relict or residual mountain. Residual. The thing is not that India has mountains. Actually, India has all these four mountains. Right? Which is the fold mountain of India? Everyone knows. Himalayas, Trans Himalayas, वो हमारा fold mountains है. ठीक है? Which is the block mountain of India? Vindhyas, Satpuras, that is the block mountain. Which is the volcanic peaks in India? Where do we have? Andaman Nicobar. We have volcanic peaks. Where are the residual mountains of India? All the mountains of peninsular India except for Vindhya Satpura. All. Whether you are talking of Nilgiri or which other? Physical geography, basic map locations. कौन सा है? Ajanta Hill. ये सब नाम सुना है? Okay. As you go further south, Gavilgad, then Baba Budan Hills, Nalla Mala Hill, Irra Mala Hill. ये सब क्या है? These are all residual or relict mountain. And where are we classifying this from? Am I classifying on the basis of what I think? कहाँ दिया है ये? Can you tell me the source? My one word to anyone who's preparing for geography is your sources are only limited to NCERT and GC Leong. That's it. All of these are given in GC Leong chapter 2. Types of mountains. All the four are given. They have not given Indian example. That you have to think. This is your task. This is where you are preparing. Do we get? So all the four types of mountains we find in India. Alright, then plateaus. How many types of plateaus are there in the world? Does India have plateau, by the way? Yes. Okay. Which is the plateau? You might say India has Deccan Plateau, or दो चार नाम बोल दोगे. But first you have to tell the types of plateaus. Which are the different types of plateaus? You have tectonic plateaus. Tectonic plateaus. Then you have volcanic plateaus. Volcanic plateaus, tectonic plateaus. Then और कौन सा है? Tectonic, volcanic, or then you have what is called as the let me move this. Tectonic plateau, volcanic plateau, and then you have the what is called as residual or dissected plateaus. Residual dissected plateaus. Now Indian subcontinent has almost all of them in it or near it, such as which is the tectonic plateau near India? Tibetan plateau. So we have access to Tibetan plateau. It's not part of us, but it is close by. Then which is the volcanic plateau? Volcanic plateau. Volcanic plateaus are created by basalt lava plateau. And does India have a basalt lava plateau? We know. What is the name? Deccan basalt lava plateau. Then India has dissected plateau. India has dissected plateau. कौन सा dissected plateau है? All our plateaus in peninsula except for basalt lava plateau are dissected, such as Chota Nagpur plateau. Then Meghalaya plateau. Then Tamil Nadu plateau, where you have places like Coimbatore, the Bangalore region, that is also what you call as the Karnataka plateau. All of these are dissected plateaus. So India has all types of plateaus in the world. Okay.
Looking for strong revision, innovative curriculum and dedicated mentoring for the General Studies paper of UPSC Prelims 2025? With only a few months left for the Prelims exam, does the lack of mentoring, robust syllabus and absence of revision strategy make you anxious? Vision IAS has the perfect solution for you. Join the Fast Track Course 2025, covering every aspect of students' preparation including coverage of GS Prelims syllabus, dedicated mentoring and guidance for performance maximization, regular practice with sectional mini tests, access to PT 365 for current affairs preparation, performance assessment and feedback. Available both offline and online. Choose the program mode as per your convenience and excel in GS Prelims with high scores. Admission to the course now open. With UPSC Prelims 2025 knocking at your doorstep, are you feeling the jitters? Is the vast syllabus making you anxious, and are you struggling to use these last months effectively to revise and brush up your knowledge? Stay calm and take charge of your preparation. Utilize these last months effectively to revise each subject thoroughly with the quick revision classes for General Studies Prelims 2025 starting on 5th February at 1 p.m. These classes offer comprehensive coverage of key subjects and topics for quick revision. Seize the opportunity and stand out in UPSC Prelims with targeted documents like the Quick Revision module. Commence your quick revision classes for features including thematic coverage of GS syllabus, coverage of core subjects like polity, economy and more, personalized one-on-one mentoring support, comprehensive and updated quick revision module, integrated assessment and feedback. In these last crucial months, act wisely and choose the smart revision strategy to excel in UPSC Prelims.
plains. Does India have plains? Which are the plains of India? Tell me. Bolo. Plains. Which are the plains? You will give me names. Sir, Indo, Ganga, Brahmaputra, and Eastern Coastal Plain, Western Coastal Plain. That's not what plains are. You have to understand what plains are types. So in terms of type, you have structural plains. Structural plains, depositional plains, and erosional plains. 3 types of plains. And I'm saying all the source is always किधर है? ये सब आपका GC Leong में दिया. This is why GC Leong is also important. Only NCERT is not, because NCERT doesn't give you this. GC Leong gives you this. ठीक है? So GC Leong का कौन सा चैप्टर पढ़ना है? Second chapter. You must read. Alright? So structural, when you say, for example, structural plains are created where tectonic regions are stable for very long period. Stable, tectonically stable regions for very long period and low. Right? Tectonic, stable, and low. Low tectonic stable region. They are structural plains. Then depositional, I know, hope everyone knows. हमारा depositional plain कौन सा है? Northern Indian plains. हमारा सारा Northern Indian plain is depositional plain, right? And erosional plains कौन सा है? Erosional plains are, for example, in the river erosion process, the peneplain stage is called as erosional. And in the peneplain, what are the things that you will find? You will find monad knocks. What are monad knocks? You will find some remaining hills, and surrounding it, everything is eroded. Okay. Now, out of these, which ones do we find in India? We find depositional plains mainly, and in the coastal regions, we generally find depositional and initially, because that is like stable, structural plains, right? The coastal regions, once the subsidence happened, rifting and all, India broke. After that, the coastal regions are low. So they are structurally created with deposition on it. It's like peninsular plateau having basalt lava plateau. It's a superimposed region. It's neither purely depositional nor purely structural. There is deposition on top of structure. So coastal plains are structural plains formed due to movement, then stabilized for millions of years, and now deposited with material. Do we understand? Now, do we have erosional plains? Broadly, I would say not exactly, but over a period, maybe after few millions of years, the Deccan, what you call as peninsular plateau of India, will go on eroding, because the rivers in that region, as per your NCERT, are in mature and old stage. When they go to final old stage, which means they have eroded the whole peninsular plateau, that region will become peneplain. So presently we don't have a perfect example of a erosional plain, but the whole of Deccan, the whole of peninsular India will in the future become erosional plain if eroded for years. That's why we say India is nearly all, not all. Sara nahi hai, nearly hai. Do we get it? So can I assume we understand these? Right? So this is, and then in them, when you go deeper into the mountains, plateaus and plains, you will find all kind of features. For example, when you go to the desert regions near Rajasthan, there you will find some kind of erosional plains due to pediplanation, wind. And in that region, many places you find small hills cropping, chota. So that is like Inselberg. Right? Do we get it? So erosional ka small part you can see in terms of wind near the Rajasthan desert regions. Okay, some part. Why? Because that is technically part of peninsula. That's not technically part of depositional plain. The Rajasthan desert is not a depositional plain. It is not northern plains. It is structurally part of peninsular block. Okay? Geology का आपका book में दिया हुआ है, जो आपका NCERT है. Then, in them we find all the second order and third order land. So second तो हो ही गया ये, और third order landform इनके अंदर. If you go to Himalayas, you will find the landforms of the Himalayas in the volcanic region, you will find those, and in the other ones you will find. Do we get? So this is why we say that in terms of geomorphology, India is a example of anything that you find in the world, you find in India also. Do we understand? Now, next is climate. In terms of climate, is India a subcontinent? Right? So in terms of climate, how do we talk? When we talk in terms of climate, so I hope all of you remember the world climate could be divided into 11 regions. As per GC Leong, है ना, chapter 14 के अंदर this is given, chapter 14, and this is a major source of world climate for us. World climate plus chapter 12 NCERT. Now, when you see the subtypes, they fit almost in this. All the world climatic regions fit into this broadly. Okay. And what do we call these regions as? This one we call as equatorial climate. Equatorial. Why? Because this is 0 to 10 degree latitude climate. Then from 10 to 30, we call it as tropical climate. Then from 30 to 65, we call it as temperate climate. Temperate. And in temperate, we have warm and cold. And this one we call as 65 to 90 polar climate. So in terms of temperature, these are the 5 climatic regions in the world. Now, do we have all these 5 temperature wise climatic regions in the world? In India or not? Go one by one. Do we have regions which are equatorial? Equatorial matlab less than 10. What is the southern extent of India? Mainland it is 8 degrees and island it is 6 degrees. Nicobar Islands. So southern tip of Kerala and Tamil Nadu, as well as Andaman Nicobar. In that the Nicobar Island, they behave equatorial. And actually the Nicobar Islands act pretty much like island equatorial. The way you have the Southeast Asian islands. Okay? So that is the region where you find equatorial climate in India. Now, this second region that we say, the second region is broadly divided into 2 subparts. Right? Which are the 2 parts? Tropical monsoon and tropical marine. Tropical marine is a region where there is more rainfall round the year. Tropical monsoon is where you have rainfall in summer monsoon mainly. Whole of India behave like tropical monsoon. But there are some regions in India which behave like tropical marine, such as the upper parts of Andaman Islands, because they are not equatorial. One. Second, when we talk of northeastern states, some parts of northeastern states, they get rainfall spread for almost 150 days, half the year. That's not monsoon. Do we get? So there also the rain is long. Then Western Ghat, western side, in some regions such as Mahabaleshwar. Mahabaleshwar receives a very high amount of rainfall, nearly 10 times our national average. What is our national average? 125 centimeters. When you see Garo Khasi, how much do they receive? 1100. Even Mahabaleshwar receives extremely high. We are doing a lot of agriculture there based on the water that you get. Like we are growing strawberries and other things. Do we get? So that region behave like tropical marine. So these 2 climates are also found. Not only one, but both of them are found. Tropical monsoon and tropical marine. Then this one we call as savanna. Savanna. Savanna means grassland. Grassland. Which grassland? Hot, dry grassland. Hot, dry grassland. Now, do we have hot, dry grasslands in India? We have. You have it in Rajasthan. You have it in western parts of MP. You have it in Telangana, interior peninsula. You have this. You have those hot, dry grasses. So we have the savanna type of vegetation also. You will not find much trees there. Do we get? So climate wise, we find this. Then do we have hot deserts in India? This fourth region is what? Fourth region, hot desert. Hot deserts. Do we have hot deserts in India? You know the answer. I shouldn't say much. Rajasthan desert. Then let us go to this region number 5. What is this called? Mediterranean. Mediterranean. What is the sign of Mediterranean? They grow two crops mainly, grapes and citrus. Grapes and citrus. Do we grow these two things in India? We have many regions in India where we are mainly growing citrus fruits and grapes, such as in Maharashtra, Nagpur and Nasik. Nasik we are growing grapes, and in Nagpur we are growing citrus fruit. And what do the Mediterranean region do with them? They process them. They make wine out of grapes. Are we making wine? Yes, we are. Nasik mein hamara vineyards bhi hai. We have vineyards even in Tamil Nadu where we are growing grapes and making wine. So we have a Mediterranean type of, and we also have a vineyard tourism now. People are going to these vineyards and they are spending time. During the grape crushing season, they go to Nasik and they live in those vineyards. They have created beautiful chalets and people are enjoying and posting picture as if they are in Switzerland. Sorry, Mediterranean. Do we get it? So, So we have Mediterranean type of climate. It's not Mediterranean exactly, but type. Why? Because of the altitude of the region. Because you are on a plateau. You are higher. Right? And you get rainfall. And the rain is not excessive nor very dry. Okay? So we have this Mediterranean climate also. Then come to the middle part. 6th. What is this climate? India actually, we don't know. We are blessed to be in a land where you find almost every feature in the world. Anything and everything happening anywhere in the world, you find it happening in India. Almost. Except for very few things which don't happen. Tropical cyclones. Tropical cyclones. Do we get tropical cyclones in India? We are one of the largest affected due to tropical cyclone. Okay. Then come to this 6th region. What is the 6th region? The 6th region is called as temperate, cold, dry, temperate grasslands. Dry temperate grasslands. Do we have dry temperate grasslands in India? We have in the mountains. In Jammu Kashmir, we call these dry temperate grasslands as marg. In Uttarakhand, we call them as bhugyal. Such as Sonmarg, Gulmarg, Oli, Bhugyal. वो सब क्या है? They are nothing but temperate grasslands. And in these grasslands, what are the people growing? They are growing animals and crops. Animals such as in temperate region, when you see Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, there they are growing horses and sheep, etc. In India, in the hills, they are growing sheep. Right? We call them as nomads. So what is the sign of a grassland? You will find nomads there. Nomads who will be moving with their animals. So we have nomads of tropical grasslands. They have cattle. We have nomads of desert. They have camel. We have nomads of temperate grasslands. They have sheep, woolly goats. Do we get it? So we have this also. Now, there is a very specific type of climate coming up here, which is not given in the GC Leong, not even given in your books that way, but it is mentioned. We call them as basically 6. When you say temperate grassland, it's a semi-arid region. Semi-arid. But when you go more continental interior, here you have a arid region also. Arid. Those arid regions are called as cold deserts of the world. So this is how world has 2 deserts. Hot deserts and cold deserts. So I will change the font. Cold desert के लिए. ठीक है? Cold deserts. Right? How are they created? They are created due to continentality. They are so much inside the land that rain does not reach there. 1. Second, they are on the leeward side of mountains. High continentality, leeward side of the mountain. Now, do we have cold deserts in India? have cold deserts also, right? ऐसा नहीं कि आपका कंट्री में सिर्फ हॉट डेजर्ट है, कोल्ड डेजर्ट भी है, ठीक है? So we have cold deserts also, such as Ladakh, right? Do we get? And in cold deserts, what do you find? You know, cold deserts of Asia, what do you find? You find a camel having two humps. We call them as Bactrian camel. क्या बोलते हैं? Double hump Bactrian camel. वो कहाँ मिलता है? सेंट्रल एशिया में, बट इंडिया में भी मिलता है. Where? Nubra Valley. In Nubra Valley, if you go in India, you will find a double hump camel. That's not found in many countries, but in India we find it. Do we get it? So this, then you come to 7. This is the warm, slightly rainy region. These kind of climate also we have, where you have slightly not very hot, but this thing. Okay. So when you go to the northern parts of India, many regions show this kind of character where there is rain also and winters also come, and you know it's not extremely hot, right? So northern parts closer to the hills. Okay, the polar behavior in India comes thanks to Himalayas. Himalaya gives India behavior. Okay, then British type of climate. Do we have? We have British type also. British type means what? Deciduous, winter deciduous trees. Where do we have it? You go to Kashmir, Srinagar. We have almost the same trees, right? Like the maple. Maple, they call maple, we call chinar. The tree with 5 leaves, 5-sided leaves, and they shed in winter. We have also apple growing here, right? When you go to those colder parts, do we get? So we have British climate also. And do we have the what you call as taiga forest, boreal forest, coniferous forest? Do we have? We have. Go to the Himalayas, upper regions. We have boreal forest also. Do we have exactly polar climate? That also we have. Go to Siachen. That is perfectly polar, no vegetation. You get? So almost all type of climate in the world you find in India. Almost all type of physical features in the world you find in India. समझ में आया? Geomorphic physical features and this. Alright? And similarly, oceanic features. We have currents, we have tides, right? We have semi-diurnal tides and mixed semi-diurnal tides. Waves, वो सब है ही. Currents भी है. Ocean है, हमारा नाम पे पूरा ocean है. There is no other country in the world which has an ocean named after it. ठीक है? So Indian subcontinent का अपना ocean है. What is the name? Indian Ocean. मतलब ऐसे ही बोल सकते हैं. थोड़ा हैप्पी करने के लिए खुद को. ओके, तुम्हारा नाम पे कोई कॉन्टिनेंट है, कोई ओशन है, हमारा नाम पे पूरा ओशन है. आई एम इंडियन फ्रॉम इंडियन ओशन. ओके, so do you get it? So now, so having understood the physical features, now let us talk of geophysical phenomena. Do we have all the endogenic geophysical phenomena happening in India? Can you tell me? Earthquakes होता है नहीं होता है? होता है. Volcanoes, plate movements होता है ना? हाँ, सब कुछ होता है. सुनामी तक होता है हमारे यहाँ. All right. So all the tectonic phenomena take place. And exogenic, let us take one by one. Do we have all the 5 agents of exogenic? Wind, glacier, rivers, waves, groundwater. Do we have or no? We have all of them. We have groundwater also in Andhra Pradesh. Go to the coastal region here. There you have the lime and the dolomitic rocks and caves. You go to Meghalaya, there you will find it. Do we get it? So limestone है ना उस एरिया में. When you see that Himalayan region, you have limestone. उसका जो rainy region है वहाँ पे caves है उनका. You can go. You don't have to go to Yugoslavia to मतलब you don't have to go to Adriatic Sea to see them. You can see it in India also. Right? So we have all the erosional and depositional features. For example, in India, glacial depositional landform है हमारे पास, which we use for cultivating saffron. क्या बोलते हैं? What is that region called? The Karewa deposits. है ना? Karewa deposits we have in which we are growing. So we understand all the 5 agents we have, and all the 5 agents erosional and depositional features also we have. सब कुछ है. There is nothing that you will miss. You have, and do we have Rift Valley? Yes. We have V-shaped valley? Yes. We have I-shaped valleys? Canyons, yes, you have canyons even in South India. Kaveri का canyon है, भीमा का canyon है. Do we have gorges? है, वो भी है. So we find almost everything, right? So all types of valleys we find. V-shaped valley, I-shaped valley, fault, rifts, सब कुछ है हमारे पास. Okay? So do we understand geophysical in this geomorphology? Climatologically. Now let us talk climatologically. All types of climates, and because of that, all types of secondary phenomena also, such as we have all types of winds like blizzard. Where do you get blizzard type of wind in India? Siachen. Go to Siachen, see the winds. Yes or no? Do you have extremely hot winds? Hot local winds? Hot local winds भी है. Cold local winds? वो भी है hills में. Down the mountain. Go to the valleys. Do we have different types of inversions happening in India? Inversion phenomena we understand. है ना? We have different valley inversion, plain inversion. We have all of it. Right? Do we have different types of cyclones happening in India? Tropical cyclone? Yes. Temperate cyclone? वो भी है. Temperate cyclone क्या बोलते हैं हम? Western disturbances. आ रहा है बात समझ में? Right? So we have all El Nino, La Nina, IOD सब हमको impact करता है. Right? Do we have tornadoes? No. Tornadoes and twisters are one thing that India does not have. तो वो कुछ ऐसा नहीं बोलना सब कुछ ही है, वो थोड़ा एरोगेंस हो जाएगा. तो एक दो लिख के रखना है, जैसा होता है ना सब पॉजिटिव बोला, लास्ट में एक दो थोड़ा नेगेटिव बोला, तो ये वैसा ही है. फ्यू थिंग्स विच इंडिया डज नॉट हैव इंक्लूड टॉर्नेडोज एंड ट्विस्टर्स. वी डोंट हैव अ पोलर वॉर्टेक्स, दो वी हैव कंडीशन सिमिलर टू इट बट नॉट एग्जैक्टली लाइक इट. राइट? सो पोलर वॉर्टेक्स नहीं है हमारे पास, कोई बात नहीं, बट पोलर वॉर्टेक्स जैसा फील करना है तो लैंडस्लाइड में चले जाओ. राइट? विद एक्सट्रीम स्ट्रॉन्ग विंड्स आपको ऑलमोस्ट वैसा ही फीलिंग दे देगा, but not exactly. Do we get it? All right. So climate wise we have this. Now ocean wise, oceanic features वो भी देखा हमने, different phenomena. We have the warming of the ocean. Right? Sea surface temperatures are increasing, because of which our monsoon is getting disturbed. Right? So do we get that this is how you can say that India has all the geophysical phenomena and physical features, almost all, not all, almost all major. And this is why we are a complete, within a 2.4% region of the world, only 2.4% land is with us. But when you see, if you see, you have almost everything in this 2.4%. You can experience almost anything in India. You want to experience Europe, you can experience. You want to experience pole, you can experience. You want to experience equatorial, you can experience. You want to desert, whichever desert, वो भी मिल जाएगा. साइक्लोन देखना है वो भी मिल जाएगा, जो चाहिए मिलेगा. राइट? एंड टू टॉप दिस वी ऑल्सो हैव vegetation. What does this bring? It brings different types of vegetation. You have a very wide vegetation in India. That's why when you see the mega diversity regions, right? India has how many of the mega diversity regions in the world? And biodiversity hotspots. Are we aware? So that you do in your ecology. Why? Because India has so much diversity. Right? Species diversity, even racial diversity. Almost all the races of the world are found in India. Very few lands have this distinction, where almost all the races, including the what you call as the Negritos, or the Mongols, or the Caucasians, everyone is found in different parts. This is why we say India is a melting pot. It's not just a cultural melting pot, it's a physical melting pot also. Physical melting pot means everything physical is here, everything cultural is here. Do we understand? So this is what we mean by the subcontinental. So India is not just a subcontinent, we are a special subcontinent, where within a subcontinent many features of the world are located. Do we get it? So with this, I'll bring this session to an end. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Anything? Are there any other subcontinent? The word subcontinent is mainly used for India, Though if you Google, you will find some other regions also written, but they are not, there is no consensus on this word. The word subcontinent is mainly used for this region. Okay, so, all right, anything else? Good enough. So that's it from my side. Thank you, all of you.